Welcome to Beyond Your Why podcast, where we go beyond just talking about your why and actually help you discover and then live your why. You see, we believe that knowing your why, that driving force behind every decision you make and every action you take, is the essential first step to really knowing yourself. It allows you to move forward faster and have a bigger impact. If you're already a fan of the show, then you know that every week we talk about one of the 9 whys, and then we introduce you to somebody with that why so you can see how their why is played out in their life. This show will be more powerful for you if you've already discovered your why. If you still need to do that, head over to WHY.institute.com and discover your why today. It'll only take you about 5 minutes. Now, let's meet today's guest. This week, we're going to be talking about the why of make sense, to make sense of the complex and complicated. So if this is your why, then you are driven to solve problems and resolve challenging or complex situations. You have an uncanny ability to take in lots of data and information. You tend to observe situations and circumstances around you and then sort through them to quickly create solutions that are sensible and easy to implement. You are often viewed as an expert because of your unique ability to find solutions quickly. You also have a gift for articulating solutions and summarizing them clearly in understandable language. You believe that many people are stuck, and if they could just make simple solutions, they could move forward. In essence, you help people get unstuck and move progress forward. So today, I have a great guest for you. His name is Dr. Dave Jones, and he brings a rare combination of professional athlete experience, military service, and psychological expertise to his work as founder of one of the world's largest Christian marketing agencies. After competing professionally in hockey across Europe, Dave found M is Good in 2001, developing the innovative R7 process that helps leaders effectively communicate vision. With a doctorate in sports and performance psychology, he coaches elite athletes from the NHL, NFL, and other sports through his mental toughness training system. As a 4-year U.S. Air Force veteran, Dave now lives in Raleigh, North Carolina with his family while running 3 successful companies that blend his Christian brand development expertise with performance coaching. Dr. Dave, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm so excited to be here again with you today. You know,
Hey, we weren't supposed
as,
to let anybody know this.
uh, as you're reading the bio, I had this image of, I don't know if you've seen this, but when Tiger Woods is on the tee box and they start reading out his accolades and he's just like, just please stop. And the whole crowd just starts laughing.
Yeah, we have
So,
to say all that. So
uh,
we did this podcast interview, and somehow I did not hit record. So we are back, better than ever, right?
yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to you again.
Well, let's jump into your life, Dr. Dave, and let's let people get to know you. Take us back into your high school days. Where were you born? What were you like in high school?
So I grew up in Northwest Pennsylvania, a small town called Meadville, Pennsylvania. It's about 45 minutes south of Erie, 2 hours north of Pittsburgh. Um, I think looking back on my situation in Meadville was that, it was kind of a depressed town. And I looked to sports to seek attention. And I didn't know it at the time, but I just realized that if I scored more goals, I would get more attention. So I just scored I just figured out how to score more goals. From there, I did pretty well with hockey. I think high school was really not for me. I kind of say that it is interesting because, I've been an academic now for a long time, getting my doctorate, but I just really didn't like school. I just felt like it was, I just wanted to move on to my professional hockey career. The town is an interesting situation. The town wasn't, well, there were school sports, that were funded by the school system. We were not funded by the school system.
Mm.
So we were kind of this outcast sport, hockey that nobody knew about. But the problem was we were really good. In fact, I started, I won as a freshman, I won the state championship. And then as a senior, I won it again. And then they went on to win 5 straight through the most successful high school hockey coach of all time, Jamie Plunkett. And so we went on this run of just winning. And so I don't know that the school system knew what to do with the hockey program because it just wasn't part of the school. And so and the town just came out and just celebrated us as, the next players in the NHL, which nobody's ever gone to the NHL out of Meadville, Pennsylvania. A couple have tried, but so I grew up there and I went on to Ottawa to play, and then I went played for Cleveland Barons. And then I went overseas and played 4 years in Germany.
Well, hold on. Let's go back a little bit. I'm not letting you off the hook. So, if we would have seen you walking down the halls in the school in high school, what would we have seen? And my second question to that is,
Yeah.
did you was high school just very easy for you, or was it and you were kind of bored, or what was it that you didn't like about academics at that time?
Well, at the time, I just didn't know how it applied. I just
Yeah.
couldn't see it as a path, so I just felt like it was a waste of time. I obviously didn't know, I was I think I had poverty mindset, honestly. If you saw me walking down the hall, you would see a jock. You would see a kid with a mullet that was taking on the world that couldn't be told anything else than, it's just it was I now refer to that with my kids who are 21 and 19, they're in the what I call the DAZ, the dumbass zone, where they're just making decisions that they think are confident in the way the world turns, but they're not. And so I was clearly in the DAZ for sure.
And that's pretty normal, especially with somebody with your why, right? Somebody who's very good at solving problems, very good at figuring things out, typically a step ahead of everybody else. And you probably felt that way in high school. So get me out of here, get me on to what I really want to do, which is play hockey, right? So then
Yeah.
leave high school, leave Pennsylvania, off to Canada.
Yep.
What was that
Yep.
like for you? What level was that at, and what was that like being on that path?
Yeah, so a hockey player's career is a little bit different than a football or basketball career. With football and basketball, you tend to do well in high school and then you get recruited and go to college. Hockey's different. You go play juniors. And so depending on how well you do with juniors kind of escalates whether you go to college or go pro. And and so I just jumped into the junior system just like every other player did. And so I ended up playing in the tier two junior A league in Ottawa. Um, I was really excited. I thought, I just won a state championship. I thought that I was a great player. I get up to Ottawa and I got humbled really fast, you know, really fast. And so I ended up getting traded a couple times, getting let go a couple times. So I was humbled really fast on, geez, you didn't pay attention academically and you're not that good of a hockey player. So,
Now what?
um, I think looking back on the purpose and passion at that time, had I bumped into you, Gary, that would have been super helpful in understanding my why and understanding I'm a problem solver kind of thing. And so I really uh I mean, I guess I solved my own problems at the time. My why was with me, right?
Yep.
Not sure how that works. I mean, is it truly your why in the early stages and it just kind of grows? How does that work?
Yeah, and I bet you if we were to go back even further in your life, maybe back
Yeah.
to when you were 5, 6, 7 years old, was there a time in your past when you were really young where you had to be kinda like the adult in the room? Maybe you had, somebody that was a big challenge, could even have been a parent that, you had to figure out very quickly what was gonna happen, what you needed to do, what direction you needed to go.
Yeah.
Were they drunk? Were they not? Were they this? Were they that? Whatever. Anything like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, so I was the youngest of 2 older brothers, and my oldest brother, he looked at, seeking attention a little bit differently than I did, and so I knew the way he was doing it, I didn't wanna do that, he was getting into trouble, doing some drugs, and so I think he saw that the police were coming were, like, a sign of attention. And I kinda looked and said, "I think I can solve it a little differently. Let's go score goals and be more on the positive side." Now, I didn't know positive, negative at the time, I just knew I didn't wanna do it that way. So I was solving a problem in I
Yep.
think, unconventional kinda way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and you've done it ever since.
I've done that ever since.
Yeah, it's been your superpower. Um, and so you took that into hockey, took it as far as you could. What was the final straw that said, "Okay, Dave, it's time for you to get out of hockey"?
I probably have to go back to when I was playing in Germany. And I really was angry at the world, honestly, because I thought that I should have been in the NHL. I still thought I was that good. So what happened, most people don't ask this question, so it's very interesting for me to go back and analyze it. I think what happened was I said, if it was supposed to happen to you, it would have happened already, and it's not. So whatever reason that is, whether it's you weren't exposed in the right place or you're not good enough, I kind of just laid down the reason, let go of the reason, and said, I need to move on. It's
Mm.
time to move on.
At what age were you?
I would have been 26 at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you were going to do it, it was going to happen already. And so do you distinctly remember making that choice?
Every time I've told this story a couple times now, and I can see myself in the locker room, that exact locker room with the exact stalls and the benches and everything and the door walking out to the rink. And I was standing in the middle of that locker room. There's this distinct smell and scene of that locker room. And I had the epiphany.
Mm.
Like, what are you doing, dude? It's time to move on. Let go.
And then what happened?
I let go. And I went on this journey of like, okay, what now? Like, that was hard, man. Like, I then had another epiphany of if was going to be friends with me, would I be friends with me? And the answer was, I don't think I'd be friends with myself. Like, I had the view of the world that if I can put enough people down, I will get ahead. And I didn't like myself. Poor self-image, lack of confidence. I just didn't like myself. That opened up. So I kind of frame it up as, I found myself on a curb in a city I'd never been in. I
Mm.
wasn't playing hockey. Nobody really cared about me. I have, this hockey background, military background, degree. And what am I gonna do? I don't know. I was lost. It's kind of like, when when your kids are young and you go and you hide eggs out in the yard, and they don't find them all. But like you're out there in the yard during like Christmas and you find an Easter egg, it's like, like I was an Easter egg on Christmas, man. I was lost.
Oh my gosh. And in another country and another
Like
language and
country, no language, all that.
wow. So what did you do?
I struggled through those years.
Stayed there?
Definitely.
You stayed in
Well, I ended up leaving Germany and going to Denver, Colorado.
okay.
Um, I found and so I was engaged at the time to my wife now of 25 years. I still didn't know what I was doing. It was until I landed. So I moved from Denver, Colorado to Greenville, North Carolina. Got a job with Fox TV. Prayed a prayer right there at my desk. Lord, what do you want me to do with my life? Because this sucks. I don't know. And I found myself looking at a list of all the Christian clients on the TV station. And so I didn't hear an audible voice. I just had the thought, oh, I'll start an ad agency. What do I call it? And I immediately, these words came to me, marketing ministries. And I thought, that is the dumbest name, marketing and ministries, like two common words put together. And so I didn't know what I was doing. I got a lawyer and to do a search on the name. And the lawyer came back and said, yeah, it's available if you want to register it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, God, maybe this wasn't a dumb name. So I registered marketing ministries and I think it was uh, November of 2001. And then I actually started the company, like really building it in January of 2002. Interesting story there to keep going on. I had a list of those 30 clients and I went to them before I registered the company. I said, hey, I'm going to start this agency. It's a Christian agency. Would you come with me if I left my job? And I think 28 out of 30 said, we're with you, man. Like, this is going to be awesome. I'm like, yes, I'm going to crush this. This is going to be so easy. I went back in January after I incorporated the company. And then I said, hey, like out of those 30, I went back to the 28 or whatever. And I said, I started it. And they're like, you started what? And I'm like, the agency, like, you're with me, right? And they're like, we're not with you. So out of those 28, 3 came with me. And I I think we invoiced that year $15,000 and I made 15% commission. It was a rough year. It was
Wrong.
bad. Yeah. And so it took me, the second year, I think we were up to 30,000 gross revenue. The third year was 200. The fourth year was 400. The fifth year was 800. And so it took me 5 years.
Wow.
And we've never been underneath that ever since. And, yeah.
It's interesting what kind of pops in my head as I'm hearing your story is your wife
Yeah.
stuck with you when you didn't even want to stick with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, it
Right.
is powerful. And we actually talk about that a lot. Like, she definitely supported me probably the first 10 years of the company. Now, she had a pretty good job working at Duke as a perfusionist. They run the heart and lung machine during open heart surgery, but she gave me the freedom to kind of mess it up and make mistakes and make more mistakes and mess it up some more. I was telling somebody, this past week, I was like, this is our 25th year now. And like, I think I've made enough mistakes in every single space to realize that that won't work. And so now we're pretty efficient. I
You're not
was
gonna do it wrong.
Yeah, I was just dumb enough to not quit.
Mhm. A lot to be said for that, right?
Right.
Wow.
To have the consistent, persistent, just that tenacity to keep going, to know that your purpose is there. You just haven't really figured out how to use it just yet. And
Mm.
it's an art to use it. You can't really, from my perspective, you can't rely on the world to tell you how to use your purpose and your passion. You have to figure it out yourself. And what's really cool about it though is there is space for you no matter what. Like that corridor is open for you. You
Mm.
just got to get there and figure out the art of your why.
Yeah.
That's been my experience. I don't know. I'd love to hear your comment on it.
I 100% agree with you. You were put here for a reason. Most people never get to most never figure it out, just kinda live by default. Some are lucky enough to figure it out at some point, but the real trick is figuring it out at the youngest possible time that you can, which gives you the longest runway
Yeah.
to actually do what you were meant to do for the longest time you can do it.
So I think this is important too. Like in 2013, I'm in the middle of my. It's not the company now is called M is Good. We rebranded it, but the vertical is the same. We work with Christian organizations around the world, and we're one of the biggest. And we're definitely the oldest, which is crazy for me to even say that's us. Um, but in 2013, I got a little bored, and I thought I'll go do something totally different. And God just stopped me in my tracks, and so I kinda had this image of, you can do other things like going wide, and I just felt like the God just saying, "Go deep.
Mm.
Instead of going wide, go deep." And so that'll feel different, and it has, and so I really wanted to chase personal development. So I went and got my master's in counseling sports psychology and just really chasing behavior. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go all the way possible. Not because I want the doctorate, but just because I want to have a terminal degree. Like, to say that I went all the way through this academically to chase every single thing there is about personal development and read as much as I can. Took me 13 years. But this past year, I turned Dr. Dave in sport and performance psychology, and that's been a really awesome journey. And I just really love the fact that, looking at how do we become the best versions of ourselves. So I realize that's kind of obligatory, but like how do we do that? And I think what you've created here, Dr. Gary, is incredible. It's a really great start to finding your purpose and your passion. Like, to
Mhm.
have an assessment to kick off, to springboard you into working that artistic, kind of side of how I navigate this is really special, man. Like, you got something really cool.
I appreciate that. This ought to be I should be paying you for this. But you're speaking my language, and I see it over and over every single day. When most people don't know who they are, so they can't figure out what they want, right? And you got this unlimited menu of options and opportunities. How do I pick one?
Yeah.
I can't figure it out, right? I can't even pick off of a regular menu with 20 things, much less if there's, unlimited. So how am I supposed to do that?
Yeah,
Help.
I
Go
heard
ahead.
a Gallup statistic years ago that said that you're gonna spend 76,000 hours at work, and that 88% of the US economy is disengaged at work. 88%. So you have all this time and you're spending with people that you don't even probably don't even you care about them on some level, but, like, like, you don't wanna be there. 88%, that's a lot. I mean, that's, like, almost like, what is that, 1 in 3? Look to the left, look to the right. If you're not happy, like, you're not if they're happy, you're not, kinda, um, and so, like, you think about that and, like, yeah, I wanna feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
The world says go to school, get good grades, get a job, learn a skill. That system is failing us. That's being fulfilled through a skill doesn't work. You have to be fulfilled through your passion and your purpose and your why.
Hmm.
That's where you feel, like, empowered to be part of a bigger picture. And so, that to me is, like, the the 16 alphanumeric code of figuring out, how to be you, like, start with your why and your purpose and your passion, build a skill around it, and you'll crush it in life.
Mm. Now, is this some of what you do in your coaching? You coach as well, right?
Yeah, I guess my real title is kind of an executive coach. I do a lot of messaging. We have a process called R7 that I really kind of dig deep on finding the tip of the spear and the messaging for individuals and organizations. And so I look at it from a positive standpoint. There's many therapists and psychologists that'll say, okay, we need to go back to your childhood. I think that's important if it's an issue you can't overcome. We need to explore that, what that is, if you don't know what it is. And so, but if you've had dysfunction in your past, most of us have, and it's holding you back, I think you got to look at that. But if you've moved on, it's really not a trigger. Like the positive psychology of, okay, what do you do really well, and how can we build on that and build something out of that? Because I think at some point reflection's good, but it can inhibit you. So we got to look at what you do well now, and let's build something around it, and let's create some messaging around it. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
there's, there's only so much you can look back on before you have to. That's why I think God put your eyes in front of your head, not behind your head. Lord.
Yeah. And I know, you and I are aligned where it's figure out who you are, then figure out what you're good at, and then let's go make that happen
Yeah.
based on who you are and make sure that it's in alignment with that.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
otherwise you're just doing.
You're just doing. You're
I did that.
we've all done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a real blessing to be in the lane that you are in. I am coming out with a book in June, and I've been kind of practicing this a little bit. I've been working with some clients. I'd like to reveal some of it today with you, if that's
Sure.
okay. I think there are things that inhibit you, and I've kind of boiled it down to four things. I call it your flap, your fear, your lust, your anger, and your pride. Fear, lust, anger, pride. Your flap. So these are the
Sure.
most common areas I think that people get stuck on. Fear, right? Opposite is faith. Lust. Now, lust is something that we just don't talk about as a society. It's very taboo. I'm looking at lust not as sexual lust. I mean, it could be sexual lust, but it's also lust for things. Like I got to get a bigger house. I got to get a second house, a lake home. I got to be part of the country club. Like it's okay to have those things, but when you're lusting after them, it's dysfunctional. The opposite of lust is love, giving, not taking. Anger, fear, lust, anger, right? So how we just get angry because it just inhibit us from seeing the vision. So when the vision's in front of us, we can think clearly. When anger and emotions are in front of us, right, and the vision's behind us, we're in trouble. And then pride comes before the fall. So the pride just inhibits us as well. So these are just some of the common ones that I'm really exploring in this next book of, how do we overcome these? How do we identify them? as a tool of the adversary, and be mindful of 'em. We're never gonna get rid of them. We're just gonna manage them better.
Hmm. Something that always crosses my mind is what is ideal? So let's say you're shooting free throws. Ideal is you make every free throw 100%. What is ideal for a human?
Mm,
What is the ideal human? And what are we shooting for? Because oftentimes we talk about what isn't right, and then we got to make what isn't right better. But what is ideal? Kind of like what you were talking about. We can go backwards and revisit what happened to us when we're younger, but ultimately at some point we're going to have to go forward
mhm.
and figure out where we're trying to go to. Now, what is ideal? That's something that's always been elusive to me, and maybe you have some thoughts on that, or and maybe not. But it's just something that never seems to be talked about. It's just, well, this is wrong, so let's make that better. But what is what are we shooting for? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does, man, it's an awesome question. I don't know that anybody can answer it.
Yeah.
I do feel, though, that we allow perfectionism because, social media and just social media is always happy and this is how people are doing. You see, all this great stuff. But the reality is life's peaks and valleys. Your relationship with your spouse, relationship with your finances, peaks and valleys. Your work career, peaks and valleys. Your athletic career, peaks and valleys. Nobody's ever awesome all the time on the peak. It's not real.
Right.
And so, you think about your heartbeat, it pumps in, pumps, right? Boom, boom, boom. But the ocean goes in and out. In like everything has peaks and valleys. Everything has a rhythm to it. And so when we look at what's ideal, it's not perfect because perfection doesn't exist, but it inhibits us, just like flap, your fear, lust, anger, pride. And so I think what's ideal is what we talked about earlier of I'm living in my passion. I feel fulfilled. I know my why. I feel fulfilled. I'm good. And so I think being part of that is a big part of that is being grateful. Being grateful for what you have,
Mhm.
right? Not wanting something more and more and more and more. Well, if I make $100,000, I'll be awesome. Then you get to 100,000. If I make 200,000, if I make 300, I actually got caught in this trap. When my agency bills $500,000, it'll be awesome. Okay, my agency bills $1,000,000. My agency bills 2,000,000. Like you can't, I don't know that you can live like that. You just get trapped in this cycle. This is, I think, there's another statistic out there that says 80%, I think it's a little bit higher now, of all all NBA players declare bankruptcy within 5 years of leaving the sport. That's
Wow.
crazy. And
Yeah.
so the way I look at that is they're buying stuff, buying stuff, buying stuff, and then when their career ends, they can't fuel the things that they bought.
Yeah. And so you've developed tell us about your new book. Tell us a little bit more about it. So it's what's do you have a title for it yet?
Yeah, so the working title right now is Plan the Win: How to
Okay.
Manage Your Fear, Lust, Anger, Pride While Building Your Christian Organization. That's the working
Mm.
title. And so I'm
Yeah.
really kind of bringing in the stories of the last 25 years of running this Christian agency. So I'm bringing in those stories and applying a principle of fear, lust, anger, pride to it. And it's gonna have some devotionals to it as well. 5-day devotional for each one of the fear, lust, anger, prides. I'm actually going through those now with my staff and tweaking them. It's really good, man. Like it's really good. It's gonna be a cool workplace application book.
Hmm. So when you say a Christian marketing company,
Yeah.
what do you mean by that? And yeah, what do you mean by that?
Um, well, I think it's a worldview of, that Jesus was Lord and Savior, you know? Um, And so I know we have different like denominations within that, Methodist, Baptist, Pentecost, all that. I really don't get into all that. I think if you have a lens that, that there's an intelligent design and Jesus was Lord and Savior, it'd be Christian. Now, whether your organization is a Christian organization or it's a Christian owner, there's a little bit of a difference
Yeah.
there. So when I'm saying Christian organization, I'm saying the ownership or the executive team have a Christian worldview. It doesn't mean that they're actually are a ministry or doing,
Gotcha.
Christian
Okay.
work in the workplace. So, yeah,
Yeah. And so it's not, you don't just work with churches or,
no,
yeah. So they're just companies that have leaders that are faith-based.
that's it. And their company could be secular based. Yep, we have lots
Got
of that. Yeah,
Gotcha. And then you've developed your is it 7 R's?
R7.
R7
Yeah.
process. Tell us about that. What is that?
So R7 came about where I had a production facility and we were doing lots of video and lots of websites. And what happened was I thought that the websites were like just going to be used, that particular website we built, we used forever. And what I found after we built this beautiful website was 2 or 3 years they were changing it. And so R7 came through a prophetic word. Now I'm not a big prophecies guy, but I happened to get hit with this prophecy in Germany, which was really weird and I didn't really understand it. But when we look at R7 now, it's a polished version of that prophecy. But step one is destiny. What is the overall purpose? So we were kind of messing with that a little bit earlier. Like, why are we here? From a Christian worldview, it's we're here to glorify the Lord with our talents and abilities. That's our destiny. That's our destiny. So the destination is the journey, right? The journey of doing that. So that's good, and it's kind of up there, like in the clouds of, okay, I don't really know what that means, but okay. Vision kind of brings it down to earth. So what is the vision of your destiny? So this is where I spent a lot of time really teaching vision. Like if there's one thing I do really well, I think it's vision, and understanding how to create it, how to communicate it, how to drive it. So we got to build that vision. The next thing is a strategy. How are we going to communicate that vision to the world? So strategy. From there, we're going to build out the brand. So a lot of times what happens is we jump right to the brand of creating deliverables without understanding the messaging. This is back to the website example of like, we built all this brand, but the messaging wasn't working. So we're changing it. 5 is communicate. We take that website, that email. Now we're going to communicate it. We're going to pray about steps 1 through 5, and then step 7, take action. So R7 is destiny, vision, strategy, brand, communicate, pray, action. So where I think it's really helpful is, when you have a vision of this is what I want from the world, this is my purpose, this is my passion, how do I communicate it? Oh, let's go. Well, R7 says we're not going just yet. We got to build out the vision, the strategy, the brand, and we got to figure out how we're going to communicate this thing before we go. Yes, we need to go, but not right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Probably a hard step to not take.
That is very true. Yes.
Everybody wants to go without the
Everybody wants to go.
guy.
Go. Now. You kind of put the brakes on that.
Well, last question for you. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? Or maybe the best piece of advice you've ever given?
I think the best piece of advice I was given was leaders are readers. So if you want to lead, you got to read. And that is super counterintuitive to the world we live in today. You got to read, man. And so that has significantly impacted my life. We didn't talk about it this time, but one of the things when I didn't like myself, I bumped into a mentor and he said, you don't like yourself, you need to read these books. here's the books. Here's the books you need to read in the next 2 years. We didn't have social media at the time, so he said, turn off the TV and read these books, and I did. I turned off the TV for 2 years. After I was done working, I would huddle up. I would basically snuggle up to a corner on the landing of my stairs, and I would read for 2 to 3 hours a night. I'd fall asleep and I'd wake up, fall asleep and wake up and take notes, and I did it for 2 years. I just read.
Hmm. So if you were going to I told you I was the last question, but of course you led me into another question. So
Yeah.
you're not off the hook yet. If you were to pick, somebody's listening to this right now, they were in this, in the space that you were in, they're just feeling lost, man. I put all my eggs in this basket. It was the wrong basket. Now I'm sitting here on a street corner in Germany with no idea who I am and where I want to go. What would be the first book you would tell them to read?
Oh my gosh. Such a great I have all the books, the 30 books sitting here on my desk that you can't see, and I'm looking at that right now. The biggest book that will impact your life, of course, is the Bible, man. Get yourself a good application Bible would be my answer to that.
And if it was more of a self-help type book,
Yeah,
the
there's so many
traditional
good
self-help.
ones. I mean, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, How to Win Friends and Influence People, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, My
Outside of the
Father's Business, such great books.
outside of the Bible, which one had the biggest impact on you? Which one stuck in your head?
My wife asked me this last night. They're all so good. I probably would go with Mark and Patty Verkler, Dialogue with God. I've read that book 4 times. Yeah,
That'd be the one. Awesome.
yeah.
And do you continue to read now?
I'm not as adamant about it, being fully transparent with you. I probably read a book a month right now. I usually was on like a book a week path. Yeah.
Are you familiar with 75 Hard?
I am, but I have not read it.
It's not a book. It might be
It's
a book, but it's a mindset fitness
Yes.
routine. So myself and a few others are doing that starting in January.
Okay.
And it's part of it is you've got to read, I think it's 20 pages of a book every day.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so it's workout twice a day for 45 minutes, drink a gallon of water, pick a diet, whatever it is, a plan that you'll follow, read 20 pages, take photos of yourself every day to document your progress.
I want it. Can I get
You
in
want
with
to do it
you?
with us? Yes.
I do want to do it with you.
Oh, you'll have a
Let's
great
do
group
it.
of people to do it with.
I'm in.
Okay, well, we'll do it, and I wonder if we'll be getting this out, because if there's anybody else listening that wants to do it with us, or if you listen to this after the first, we're going to be starting the first. You're welcome to join in with us, but it'll be fun. You can just Google 75 Hard, and you'll see all the it's not that complicated. You just got to do it. One of the workouts has to be outside.
Okay.
So take a look at it. You'll see it, and then you'll go, okay, I'm in. And we'll,
You know what? I don't care. I'm in. You're
yeah,
doing it. We're doing it. I'm gonna have accountability partner, right?
that's what I need.
And it's 75 days.
Is 75 straight days, no cheat days.
I love it. I'm
I know that's not, I have never done, I don't think I've ever done anything for 75 days in a row, except brush your teeth maybe, but nothing else I can
Shower,
think
maybe?
of. Shower, yeah, but yeah, I guess brushing your teeth in a shower. But other than that, it's, we'll see. It's going to be fun. So, well, Dave, if there's people that are listening that want to connect with you, follow you, learn from you, where's the best place for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so pretty easy. Go to emmisgood.com. There's all over the website. There's a Let's Chat. So that would be the place to go.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here a second time.
Yes.
And now committing to do 75 Hard with
I'm
me.
so excited. I'm in, man.
I love it. Okay. Well, hey, well, you and I are going to be in touch a lot then.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but thanks for being here again today, and we'll see what we can do. Maybe we'll do this after we do 75 hard. We'll do it again.
I would love that. Does a 75 hard include hitting 10 golf balls a day every day for 75 days?
That might be in
75?
there.
Oh, wait,
That might be in there. You can add it.
I'll add it. All right.
Awesome. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
I really hope you enjoyed today's episode and that through today's guest, you heard how important it is to know your why and how impactful it can be in your life and the lives of those around you. Be sure to head over to WHY.institute.com and discover your why today. Remember, the more you know about yourself, the more you'll know about others. I'm Dr. Gary Sanchez, and I'll see you on the next episode.